Very warm welcome to the second edition of In the Spotlight for 2024 and In the Spotlight episode number 4. This week, I shall be discussing the changing role of the CFO and their role in innovation, and maybe how we can help these people better adjust to their new roles. So, to help me unravel the mysteries of this particular aspect of a company life, I have my special guest this time, which is Catherin Mao. Good morning, good evening, where you are.
Good to meet.
Let's get straight down to it. How do you see the role of a CFO changing, and from my own particular sort of point of view, how they're going to get stuck in to help with innovation?
Yeah, I remember Charles Darwin once said, "It's not the strongest of the species that survives, but rather than which is most adaptable to change." So this is a changing world. The CFO is critical to helping establish the tone at the top around innovation culture. We improve the behavioral dynamics of team members. Innovation isn't just about adopting new technologies. It's also about fostering a culture that encourages and rewards creative thinking.
Indeed, but and traditionally, CFOs have been badged as, rightly or wrongly, as not very creative people. So there's two things here, actually, isn't there? When we think about it, there's personal characteristics, the CFO themselves, and actually how they contribute to the overall innovation and creativity of the organization.
Good. Yeah. The new role of CFO is how can CFO be the innovation coach? We inspire, support, and coach the team to nurture innovation in the organization. CFO helps the manager to build a culture. Humanity results at the center of work. Trust building takes place. Learning is a priority. Creation of inclusive development space. Elimination of fear, risk, and failure. So, CFO has already moved up the ladder of influence as a coach-like figure. We are moderating conflict at the board level, defining the department's contribution to overall strategy through company-wide visibility.
Indeed. The question is, how many CFOs or equivalents in modern organizations are actually making that change? And what happens to them if they don't? Does Darwinism take over and they die, or are they somehow clinging on and damaging company fortunes?
Good question, because a lot of CFOs still have traditional mindset, but I have to say this is a change world. We must change ourselves in order to be the innovation allies, the true collaborate, stand out to boost value creation, to improve both the company culture and both a bottom line. CFO can formally build innovation goals into the organization's plan for growth, discover, validate assumption about an innovation projects, speed up standard budgeting process, establish metrics specific to innovation projects, upskills finance team, empower them to help lead a change in the company innovation.
Also, the other thing that just struck me is CFOs often at board level, they have a portfolio. People like me see them as gatekeepers, nasty people who have big pots of money that they don't want anybody to have. And that obviously does need to change, but they have portfolios often. You often find that things like the IT function and HR often report to the CFO at board level. So they have a massive, I wouldn't say amount, well, they do have a massive amount of power, but they have enormous potential to shape the fortune of an organization. So the question really is, should this remain? And if so, how can people help? How can we help them all to make better use of their position? Because HR and IT are tremendously powerful in not driving innovation, but in helping enable innovation.
Yeah, we all know the CFO have a bird's eye view of the company. CFO have to reach across enterprise to act as a catalyst for innovation. You know, we see every dollar spent and earned, and we see the trends, risks, and opportunities. And the CFO is intimately familiar with the running of all departments of the performance. And the close communication and the collaboration should position CFO as a chief executive of strategic initiatives.
Yeah, one I don't know why it just came to me. It was something I was reading only this morning, which is ridiculous because it's ridiculously early. But it was the difference between KPIs and OKRs. So the CFOs will traditionally, not always, be very mindful of key performance indicators. But the OKRs, which are more to do with objectives rather than performance, not necessarily so, but they could be. If they got to grips with those OKRs, and they all know about KPIs, they would have a very, very, very good knowledge of the health of the. They're almost like a company doctor. The health of the company is in their hands, so to speak. So, yeah, an interesting role going forwards. So, an interesting question for you then. If you were recruiting somebody to this sort of role, what would you be looking for? What skills, what sort of attributes would you actually be looking for? I've got a far more awkward question to come later, but you know, what skills and attributes would you be looking for in that sort of person?
Yeah, like the capability to identify and encourage curious minds, motivating and team building skills, command over new tools, technologies, and process in the market, creative ways to encourage the existing system, traditional mindset, and assumption. CFO should have great questioning, listening, and analyzing skills, both verbal and nonverbal communication skills, self-awareness, the ability to build a rapport within the team, the ability to provide concise, actionable, and neutral feedback. So this is all the skills CFO need to develop in order to challenge the existing thinking and enable further growth of the organization.
Indeed. And my slightly mischievous question was, if you were actually doing the recruitment of such a person, what would the recruitment process look like? How would you actually make sure? Because in the past we've had assessment centers and all sorts of things like that to recruit people, but what sort of things would you need to do you think, to make sure that these people, they were sociable and curious and all the rest of it? I realise I'm putting you on the spot here very slightly, but I mean, it's an interesting idea, because there is the possibility that people could still go on recruiting people in their own image. We're trying to hopefully recruit people who are not in our image. They're adding to the fortunes of the company. So how would we make sure that those people were the right people to lead and manage and support innovation?
From HR point of view, CFO should be a talent manager. It is a growing trend. Because only when CFO becomes a talent manager to win the global competition, like CFO can help establish KPI, as you just mentioned, for success, like both financial measures, return on investment, net new revenue growth, and also some non-financial measures, like determining how many ideas have been generated and what milestones need to be achieved within a project to obtain future fundings. So these capabilities HR should really consider about. And also, CFO is a strategic thinker, should have capability to leverage the strategy, drive company innovation forward, have the future thinking, the passion of future thinking inspire the finance team to adapt to new value drivers. So these all the attributes human resource people should consider about when they are considering about the right people for the CFO roles.
Yeah. Okay. One more. Actually, I was just wondering if there was anybody who was watching this, who was maybe a CFO who was job hunting. If they were trying to get themselves ready to jump into a new company, and they were an enlightened CFO. They like the idea of innovation, but their CV just says, "I do accounts," and that's it. What sort of, I suppose this is almost a marketing question. How would these people market themselves, given that they are the material that companies want, but they may be just suffering from a bit of an image problem? What would they need to do? What bits of their CV would they need to change? What bits would they need to highlight? Would they need to add words like creativity in the right places? What would they need to do? Because there could be somebody watching this who thinks, I like the sound of this, but my CV doesn't show that that's really me.
Okay, so the modern CFO should understand the benefits of technology and automation, and it's become more and more important for the modern organization. Like a CFO will be responsible for implementing technological solutions, responsible for both compliance and various organization needs. We know RPA, AI, machine learning, blockchain will dramatically reduce inefficiencies, giving finance professionals the time needed to create enterprise value through data analysis. So these all the keywords should appear in modern CV.
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't thought of all the things about AI, blockchain, etc. But yes, they're all there, and they're very good for giving people time to think and focus on what I would traditionally think are the important things, but the CFOs think that money is the important thing. But these things are all important if the company ultimately wants to survive. So yes, the various technologies, they need to be up, not just aware of them, but know how they can be used. They don't necessarily need to be skilled in them, but they need to know what they can do, how they can be used. So we've established they need to be creative and they need to be curious. So if you're a CFO out there and watching this, add that to your CV, but make sure you can back it up somehow. So what else do they need? Empathetic, and yeah. So we've got to be honest, in a short space of time, we've gone through quite a good amount of stuff. The personal skills that people need, the way their roles are and could be and maybe have changed in some cases. So what's coming? What else is the CFO going to be involved in or have to do that we've not mentioned already?
Yeah, so what I was thinking about is, because the CFO is the corporate equivalent of the venture capital investor. We are looking at a startup. It's just that a startup is a group of motivated employees within the own company. The most successful CFOs will think like a venture capitalist, the VC, building a strategic investment portfolio that can be continually adapted to changing needs.
Interesting. I've heard of that position or view briefly in the past. I mean, there are two things, aren't there? There's financial business as usual. That's all got to be taken care of. But the idea of the CFO being a venture capitalist and effectively investing in future projects for the company is a much better way of looking at things, rather than just them being asked to approve the budget and somebody else deciding, oh, this is good. So I must admit, I quite like that. So if you're watching, please make note of that. So obviously, as a business coach, you're fairly passionate about CFOs and what they can do. So what's your New Year's message to CFOs or aspiring CFOs for this year, apart from obviously getting in touch with yourself for some advice? What general advice could you actually give them?
Yeah, I would say CFO should drive sustainable, consistent, and capital efficiency growth. Create an energizing narrative within the organization. And I also encourage CFO to treat innovation not as a once-a-year type of exercise, but to budget resources on a continuous basis. So the innovation is an integrated mechanism to drive corporate growth, and at the same time to drive the professional personal growth of CFO, him or herself.
Very timely. For those watching, you can contact Catherin via her details that was flashed up on the screen. Since this will be recorded anyway, you can play back the recording and find them again. But yeah, some interesting views for the role of a CFO. Nicely going into 2024. A good new year for CFOs, I think. So thank you for sharing your views today, Catherin. Hopefully, if there's anybody out there, they will get in touch. But thank you very much for, well, it's not staying up, but hanging on late to talk to us today.
Thank you so much for our collaboration.
No worries. Maybe in the future we can do it all again. Well, many thanks to Catherin for her insights. I'll be back very soon with another episode of In the Spotlight. So take care, keep your eyes peeled for event notifications. Bye for now.